Hey, welcome. This is Sig with Fish Out Loud. All right. If you haven't previously seen this video about getting some custom baits printed, then you need to check out the video. Also, this video, I do a lot of custom stuff. If you probably like, man, he's getting his custom baits printed. Exactly. Not only do that, but I do custom rods too. Okay. Now, do I do them? No. But I do have my own custom rods built. Why is this? Well, you know, I know a lot of the rod companies, and they're all great guys. I know Power Rods, I know Dobbins Rods, you name it, Kistler. A lot of great guys out there making rods. And by the way, but there comes a point when you start, just like swim baits and some of your baits, you start to tweak things. You start to go, man, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? So along the way, over my fishing career, I have found ways to go out and say, okay, what about this? What if I do this to this rod? What if I do this to this rod, this to this rod, this to this rod? Now, in a lot of my videos, you'll hear me talking about a lot of my friends. One of them is Paul Elias, who is a 1982 World Bassmaster Classic champion, but not only that, holds the all-time record for Bassmaster, 20 fish in a tournament. Get this, guys, 132.5 pounds. Knows how to catch a big fish, but he's also known for kneeling and reeling. That means getting on his knees, getting that crankbait down into the water and cranking, okay? So I've always taken a lot of his information that he's shared, and he loves sharing it with his information, and so other people like myself can go out and catch big fish. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, hey guys, you know, this really helps if you give me a like. And not only that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit subscribe, okay, guys? Because I'm here to teach you, and a lot of my friends are also, how to go out and catch more and bigger fish. So thanks for hitting like, and thanks for subscribing if you haven't subscribed yet. So I've got this tube right here, and in a second, I'm going to be taking out the 3 rods that I built. All right, welcome back. Man, I finally got those rods out of that tube. Anyway, I want to give you a little backstory on the 8-foot rule. If you haven't heard of that, that's basically a rule that came out by Bassmaster, and many other tournaments adopted the 8-foot rule, which means you can't have a rod longer than 8 foot while you're fishing. So let's go back to the early 70s, and some of the fishermen coming from California had a technique called dipping, actually a dipping stick. It was a 12-foot, usually it was about a 12-foot rod with a monofilament hung off the end of it. There's no reel, and it's like a pole vault. You know how the guy pole vaults and gets over the bar? Well, this is the same way. They would dip the stick into the toolies, bass would eat the jig, worm, they would lift up, and straight up, that bass would come and hit them in the chest. Well, they took that technique, that dip and stick technique, and they brought it back to where the Bassmasters was here, and a lot of the guys just started complaining. I guess that's probably about the best word I can use, is they're complaining. So they went to D. Thomas, who is the king of flippin', okay, legend in his own legend, okay. D. Thomas, if you don't know him, he's from the West Coast, absolute legend, and we're very blessed to have him still around, where he's sharing his technique. So the king of flippin', they came to him and said, hey, listen, it's not working. You're going to have to design something. He said, okay, let me chew on it. He came back to him and said, how about 8 foot? How about 8 foot? And that's where the 8-foot rule came in. So fast forward to 2021, and I find out as I'm getting ready to enter the tournament scene again, fishing the Bassmaster Opens next year, that they've changed from the 8-foot rule and they've gone to a 10-foot rule. I'm so excited, okay? I'm absolutely fired up. Why is that? Well, because in the day, I used to fish a lot of the FLW / Toyota Series events, and they don't have an 8-foot rule, and thus, I've been cranking for years with a 10.5-foot plus crank rod. Now, you're saying, 10.5 foot? That's crazy. I know, it's crazy. Well, so I just, over the years, as I'm mentioning, I use custom rods, and the reason for that is that, well, I've developed some techniques that I like to use, and they work for me. That's the key. I think about it, what about this, what about this, what about this? And then it goes out and works. So I had 2 rods built by my new rod builder, Joe Burns, who is in the Lake Chickamauga area, Eastern Tennessee, and he builds custom rods. Now, I had to go and find, Joe was the 6th person I called. The first person said, yeah, he does rods, but after talking to him, he says, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. Oh, no, I can't do that, can't do that. But Joe is the 6th person. I start talking to him about what I do and what I want done. And he says, oh, that'd be great. I can build those. And what about we do this? And what about we do this? And I just love that. So again, Joe does a wonderful job. He built me 2 rods that meet the 10-foot rule. One's a 911 and a 9.9 rod. And I can't even really put it together here because it won't even fit. But why do I use such a long rod? Well, it's a tool for me, and a lot of people are going to longer rods. When I first started fishing, back when I was in high school, people were using 5-foot rods, but they learned that as time has gone on, the rods have gotten longer. Why? Because of the leverage. Okay, that you want that rod to do the work for you. Okay. Now, do I have small rods? Yes, I'm getting ready to show you my smallest rod I have here in a second, okay? But mainly I use longer rods, okay? A lot of my rods are anywhere between 7.6 and 7.8, with some 8s and some 8.5s. I have a 9-footer, but when it comes to my cranking rods, they are right at that 10.5-foot length, which MLF/Toyota series allows you to use, okay? But Bassmaster, I have them under 10 foot, okay? For that leverage. Also want to throw in a couple other things too here. Reels, okay? I believe, I used to use the 5 ratio. They said, slower it is, to get that crankbait down there, staying down there longer. No, I completely threw that out the window and said, I'm going to an 8. And because I want to burn that thing as fast as I can. Get it down as fast as I can. Keep it down there at that 20 to 25-foot level, okay? I did that on Clear Lake many times. I'd get to that depth and just burn it, okay? I've got a video on it that I've done with my 11.5-foot cranking stick, and works awesome, okay? So that's my philosophy. I'm not saying that's your philosophy, but I'm saying is to tuck that in the back of your head and start chewing on that and saying, does that make sense? Does that make sense? That makes sense. As a matter of fact, even give me a reply if you'd like, okay? Oh, and by the way, right about now is the time I'd just like to say, hey, give me a thumbs up for this. I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. It takes a second, and I'd be very appreciative of that, okay? So the other thing too is that one thing that's kind of, you may not be aware of, I have a lot of people always comment on me when they're fishing with me for the first time going, what's wrong with your rod? Okay, so I think probably the easiest thing to do is I want you to take your baitcaster, go grab a baitcaster and just hold it like you're holding it. Now run your eyes all the way up to the tip. Do you notice how those eyes are upside down? You notice that? Now take a spinning rod and hold it like you would. You notice how the eyes are perfectly the way they should be, okay? Many years ago, I noticed some of the top pros using a style called a revolver rod or a spinal wrap rod. And this is what I have, my 6-footer right here. If you notice, I hold my rod just like this. That first eye, if you can see that, is up, but then it starts to spiral around. And by the time it gets to the end, that's exactly the way the eyes are designed. But nobody talks about that at all. Matter of fact, 100%, I can almost guarantee you, of all the rod guys out there building rods, they don't do it. Matter of fact, I used to tease some of my rod building friends, okay, that, have, I'm not gonna mention any names because there's so many good ones out there, and say, hey, when are you gonna come with a spiral wrap? No, there's a saying is that when everybody does the same thing, everybody follows the same way. Not me. I am always looking at seeing what a few of them doing, okay? Everybody walks that way. Well, what about that fisherman over there? Why is he going that way? Okay? There's got to be a reason, all right? That's if it's one of these aha moments, check into a spotter rod, revolver rod, and if you are going to have a custom rod built, see if the gentleman that is building them for you, or the lady, that they can build a rod like that. I'm just glad I did. I believe I have an edge. I need every little edge advantage I can against some of these phenomenal competitors, okay? So, I hope that helped. Again, thanks again. I would really appreciate hitting like there. Thank you, and thanks for subscribing. I hope this helps you at least put some things in the back of your head saying, that's interesting, never thought of it or looked at it like that, okay? Remember, we're just here to teach you how to catch more and bigger fish. I've caught some monsters over my lifetime. I want to see you catch them too. Remember, you guys, get out there. You're just one cast away.